trenches. Ask a nigga what he benching. Triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention. Whole hard in the trenches. Ask a nigga what he benching. Triple digits, nigga, don't forget to mention. Don't forget I got memories, dead stain the whole room if I let him bleed. Shit was dark, I let this little light him.
Yes, sir, ski. What up, T? What up? All right, turn that off. Where you at? All right, welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast. Before we get started for a quick second ride, Nick, let me get a sound check right quick. Oh, I like that round.
What's up, bro? You can hear me? I'm good.
Okay, there we go. We getting the audio.
Oh, okay.
Sleezo saying, "What up, Nick? What up, Ryan?"
Yo,
Sleezo, what's the word, big dog?
All right. T, yeah, it's actually great. Some of us actually like to read. Exactly. Like it's a lost art nowadays in this content world, and everybody who thinks that they can produce things. I'm not hating on nobody in that sense, but goddamn, like if you want to stick out, make sure you have something other than table than just doing a goddamn. I'm gonna get on a microphone. Part of the reason why I got back into the writing aspect of things, man. Obviously, I wanted to build my brand and this stuff, but when it comes to writing, bro, like a lot of people just say, you know what, that's not important anymore. Hell, like people still listen to John Comm, listen to the people who want the Titan stuff, whatever that stuff is. You know what I'm saying? You look at writers, you know, ESPN guys and stuff like that. Dallas Cowboys, whoever the hell talking about that trash ass team. Like Nick, you listen, you read, bro. Like that's what people do. You know what I'm saying? Nick, you agree? You agree, right?
What's up, Ryan? How you doing, brother? You all right, man?
Hey, brother, I can't call it, man. You know, I can't call it. Another year older since the last show.
Oh yeah, 59. How's it feel?
Hey, bro, if I'm 59, boy, I look good. You hear me?
You know what I'm saying? Hey, it don't matter.
I'm about to say 59, man. You know what I'm saying? You still rolling with the old dogs. I mean, the young dogs still hooping. You know what I'm saying? You got a little.
Shut up, bro. Continue.
They say if you hang with younger people, bro, you're gonna still look and feel young.
Hey, that's how you gonna do. Okay. That's how you gonna do me on my show, bro. You gonna tell me to shut up?
Hey, Mom, first off, bro, you lied on me earlier today. You snitched on me earlier today.
Nick,
there's not much more you can do.
No, Nick lied on me, bro. No, we not letting this go. Nick lied on me, bro.
Nick, bro, hold on. Claire, I need you to clarify this, bro. What you ain't got my boy no cleats, bro? Is that how you
let's give context. Let's give context for the listeners. Let's give context for the listeners. Earlier in the day, for everybody who don't know, we got a group chat, obviously, like that. I was just cracking a little joke, because everybody, all my friends, bro, they play Flowers. We all went to Flowers High School. Most of them, Ryan, he went to Bowie back in '78. But when we was all in Flowers, man. They was just talking about the times where they played. Hey, Ryan, is this you that's trying to get in the room?
Yeah, he just left.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if that was David. What's going on? Oh, there we go. All right, I see what's going on. All right, so for those who don't know, yeah, like we were all at Flowers at some point. So I missed football because of Crohn's disease, man. Things happen, illnesses and stuff like that. So I was just cracking. I had one opportunity to play football, and that was my senior year in high school. So that's the context behind the conversation that we're about to get into. Essentially, what I said in the chat, I cracked a joke, but I also said that Nick, this was actually truth. It was just I just put some humor behind it. I said that Nick ended up. I asked Nick for some cleats. He never gave them to me, so I ended up, instead of playing football my senior year, I ended up getting a job with the federal government, and that's what happened. So with that being said, Nick, go ahead and get your lies out, because I'm about to shut every single thing that you're about to say down and prove to you that you don't even know, you don't even remember, and it's okay to just say you don't remember. But
go ahead and clarify, Nick.
To be honest, bro, I ain't gonna hold you.
Here you go.
I don't remember this at all.
So why you ain't say that earlier today, bro?
Exactly. What the first thing he said was, he said I was lying. He said all we had was a certain class. We had one class together and he was home. It didn't even, the question never happened in class.
He tried to act like he didn't know you. He tried to act like he didn't know you for real. That's how it sounded.
Nah,
That's
I
crazy.
knew Mual all of high school, bro. But I'm just saying, like, I don't even remember Mual asking me for cleats. And I don't even know why Mayo told him he couldn't come out without cleats, bro. People was out there without cleats.
So he didn't say you couldn't come out. He said make sure to get you some cleats. He didn't say don't come out until you get cleats. Make sure you get you some cleats. And I never.
So how did I stop you from getting cleats?
So you didn't.
How did I stop you from coming out there?
You didn't stop me. That was the whole part. That was the whole part of the text message. It was he never gave me cleats, so I ended up going to the federal government. That was part of the thing. But the whole story behind this is that the beginning, the practice happened in like May or June, whatever it is, like off-season workouts or whatever. So I'm getting ready to try out for the team, and I got to start showing my face. So I went out there, worked out with the team, played receiver, didn't drop no passes, by the way, right? Matter of fact, both of y'all seen me in flag football. You know what I'm saying? These hands are legit, and this is when my speed was still there. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't slow back then in high school. Like things happened. We know that. Anyway, point being, showed out. Practice is over. At some point, I don't know when it happens, but we talk, and I know I didn't have cleats because my cleats at the time that I did have were like a size or two smaller than what I had. I didn't have no money to buy no cleats. My mom wasn't going to do it. She was trying to get me to get a job. She wasn't about to buy me no cleats. So I asked Nick, I was like, hey, bro, you happen to have some extra cleats laying around? You know, Nick, you know what I'm saying? First thing come out of his mouth is a lie. So he's like, yeah, bro, you know I got you.
Sure.
Like, yeah, I got you. I was like, all right, bet, I appreciate you. I don't know if I asked him, like, when can you give me the cleats? I don't know if that happened or anything. I don't know.
Never asked.
But he said, I got you. Eventually, we all separate. But time passes on. And during that time that passes on, I'm still looking for jobs over the summer. And that's when I eventually... Well, I never... Then you didn't just hear me talk about the fact that I ain't had no money to get the cleats.
I'm just saying though. I wasn't the only person out here with extra cleats. I'm saying your only source was apparently from me.
But the problem
correct.
is at this juncture of our relationship, you know what I'm saying? He's just reminding you, as cool as we are now, I just want you to be reminded that you ain't give me no cleats when I was trying to try out.
Thank you. That's it. Back then, I asked for some cleats. You told me you had me. You never gave me the cleats. And by the grace of God,
crazy,
you never gave me the cleats because I ended up, you know what I'm saying, making a career of what I'm doing right now. But if I took those cleats and I was like, bet I'm good to go, I don't know if I would even have had the job. Like I wouldn't
be in the government for sure.
I wouldn't
be in the government for sure.
Hey, nah,
so
I was talking like an old head, bro. No, we're not about to do that. We're not about to do that. Not about to do that.
I gave you job security. I said,
no,
don't come out here with us.
Y'all know
Man,
what
go to the government.
Hey, Cesar, that is hilarious. Though I do sound like the old dude talking about my speed was there. That is a fact. Look.
You hear that, Sleezo? But they trying to call me old, Sleezo.
Well, I mean,
you wanna know what's wild, bro?
What's up?
I had extra cleats.
Hey, bro, you making this story even worse, bro. You might as well keep that to yourself. Bro.
I had extra cleats. That's wild as shit, bro.
Hey, bro, you're wild, bro. Even if that was true, bro, you supposed to keep that to yourself, bro.
Because every year I got new cleats. So my only cleats I could have fit.
And you making it worse. So you had a fresh pair of cleats.
We're from 10th grade, bro. This is senior year. Them cleats were abolished. Let me tell you something. But that was the only jumps that probably could have fit them, bro. You know what I'm saying? Ma.
Sad, bro.
You're welcome for getting you in the government.
Don't worry like that.
You know what I'm saying?
The government versus my man could have had an NFL contract if you'd have gave my boy some cleats.
All I needed was that opportunity to go to the college level, bro, and prove myself. That's all I needed, bro. And Nick,
you could have walked on, bro.
You stepped on my opportunity. That's what you did.
You could have walked on that.
You stepped on my opportopportunity.
Look at Nick. Now he trying to show off because he is something else, bro.
Just say I apologize for ruining your career, bro. Just say it. We can move on.
I mean, everybody know I did it. You know what I'm saying? You could have walked on.
You see, it's always something, bro. This nigga backwards, bro. It's always something.
All right.
Wow, I knew that's what he was about to say.
So I did want to talk about the wedding for a second, man. Like 2 minutes. But before we even go further, just the administrative things. just administrative things. If you are listening, please, when you get that opportunity, rate, review us. That helps us. If you're watching on YouTube, give us that opportunity to subscribe and like us and comment if you know what I'm saying, if you want to interact with us and stuff like that. If you're on Twitch right now and you're watching, follow us, man, and show some love in the chat. We always interact with everybody, man. And all that good stuff. So yeah, I don't know what Nick is doing, but I ain't looking at
That's
it.
how you're supposed to subscribe.
Nah.
That's how you're supposed to subscribe.
Yeah, for sure. But
like, subscribe, all that.
Yeah, so tonight we have David Harrison joining us tonight from the Locked On Buccaneers podcast and also the Locked On Washington Football podcast. He is a busy man. But before we get into that, we got about 2 minutes, fellas. Shout out to our boy Tom, who is a member of the Trapper Dive All 32 side. He's a busy coach. Got a busy thing going on, man. So congratulations to our brother, quarterback, Coach Teasing.
Offensive coordinator.
Yeah, man. So I'm happy for him, man. He married. How long he known Shorty? Like Shorty. Oh my goodness. How long he known his wife?
Time as me.
I'm about to say.
Yeah, he is wild.
As long as I know Tom.
Yeah, since high school.
A minute.
Yeah. All right. So it's been a minute, man. So our boy Tom got married on Monday, man. And fellas, we aren't done. We got 2 more.
Do we got 2 more? Oh yes, James and
Rick.
Wow,
yeah. We got 2 more.
I got 4. I got 4 more weddings, bro.
Oh yeah, me
4
too.
more.
I got 4, but two in our circle.
Are y'all in all 4?
No.
I'm just in Rick John.
Oh, okay.
It's expensive, bro.
Okay.
It's expensive.
I already know. Hey, I already know.
Yeah. Hey, Schleezo, we about to. I don't know if you are a gambler, man. I like that. All right, so we're gonna cover some spreads at the end. Once we get done talking with David, we're gonna cover some spreads. I want to get your opinion on where you at with your boys, them Eagles, and I don't know who they. I think it's Atlanta. They face Atlanta, so I want to get your head where they at with that. Saviors.
I didn't even know Schleezo was as biggest Eagles fan as Jimmy, bro. I hadn't even.
Yeah, bro.
Jimmy had me rolling. He was showing me their messages, bro. Yeah, hilarious.
All right, so let's go ahead and get David in, and then. Yeah, David and who is this? Right. Oh, there we go. Let me make sure the audio is still good. All right, David, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, guys?
Oh, there you go.
Hey,
what's up, David?
What's going on?
He got the cool studio.
Yeah,
Okay.
he got the nice setup, right? Everything.
He got the official.
So. First and foremost, appreciate you for joining us, David. For those who don't know, like I said, David Harrison, I didn't go in full detail with his background, but I did mention he was a writer. He is a writer, for Washington Football SI, Sports Illustrated, and for BucksNation.com. He also is the co-host of the Locked On Washington Football Podcast and Locked On Bucks Podcast. How are you doing tonight, boss man?
Oh, I'm doing great, guys. Appreciate the invite, and it sounds like a lot of work when people say it, but yeah, I appreciate all that and just love doing it.
I was going to ask you that because we had last two weeks ago I had on somebody for the Locked On Ravens podcast, and I know like the way that Locked On works, they ask you to produce daily podcasts at least throughout the weekday, like 20 to 30 minutes and stuff like that. You're doing 2. And you're 5 episodes a week. Yes. How are you really managing that? Like, not in the sense of like the workload more per se, but just like being able to manage your time here and there, like with work and also with other activities that you may want to take care of.
Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, I'm blessed with a very understanding wife who's actually responsible for everything you see here, and still a work in progress, but she is literally the designer, creator of everything that you see here. So she's very supportive of my dream of I kind of came to her at one point. I said, look, if I can get paid for the rest of my life to talk about football, that would be the dream. You know what I mean? And ever since then, that was about 7 years ago now. And we started off on that journey. I started my college education and everything else. And that kind of bleeds into the next part of that conversation where I was in the Army at the time. I've since retired. So being retired has blessed me with a lot of versatility and a lot of flexibility. I have no part-time or no full-time jobs. Every job I have is part-time. So I literally make my schedule as I need to make it. So if I have a heavy sports week, like week 1 of the NFL season, I can free up time where I need to be able to do what I need to do for these. But if I have weeks like in June, I was working one of my other part-time jobs a lot during the summer because I have more time on my hands. So I've very blessed, man, to be able to be as versatile as I need to be to do all this.
Absolutely. I can imagine that because I forgot about the Army part. I did see that part in your bio. And obviously, how many years were you in the
20.
service? 20.
Yeah, I did 20.
Oh, that's really nice. I had a whole.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Hey,
Absolutely.
look, you guys gave me the opportunity to do it. That's what I always tell people. Like with no America, there's no military. So I mean, you guys gave me the opportunity to do it. So I appreciate you as much as you appreciate me. Believe me.
Man,
Absolutely. Now, are you a fan of either Tampa or Washington, or are you removed your fandom from actual NFL and just in general?
So I'm a fan of football. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I always tell people. Like the thing about
Love
fandom
it.
is you can't get into this business unless you were a fan of something, right? So getting deeper into my background, my father was also in the Army he was actually in the Army for 25 years and a Marine for 5 years before that. So 30 plus years total combined. So because of that, I lived a lot of my life in various different places. I've been a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I've been a fan of the Washington, at the time, Redskins. I've been a fan of the Carolina Panthers because when they became an expansion team, I essentially was like, I'm going to be on the boat from the jump. So I was a fan of, the Kerry Collins, Mushim Muhammad, Kevin Green, Carolina Panthers. Yeah, you know what I mean? Tim Biakabatuka. Even though I'm an Ohio State guy, Tim Biakabatuka was nasty. And then I was a fan of work done. Running back was my favorite position, one of my favorite positions still to this day, even though it's kind of, been diminished a little bit. And Warrick Dunn was my favorite running back at the time. He joined the Buccaneers. That's kind of how I started watching the Buccaneers. Truth be told, my favorite football team, honestly, of all time, is the Frankfurt Galaxy of the NFL World League.
Yep.
Yeah, back in those days, because my father was in Germany in the 80s when the World League kind of hit its peak. So we went to a lot of Frankfurt Galaxy games when I was a kid. And so that's really, honestly, my favorite team. Like every year I buy Madden and I pray that the Frankfurt Galaxy is a relocation team like the London Monarchs are. And every year I get disappointed and heartbroken because the NFL no longer owns the right to their work. And I know that, but I still wish that it happens. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a roundabout way of saying I'm a fan of just great football, good football. And so if I cover the team, I want them to do well because I want to talk about good football.
I mean, that was a really in-depth answer, but it was also good because like I always ask guys, reporters or people who even cover the team, like their favorite team, like how detached are you? Like not in a negative sense, but how detached is the fandom? Like when you're trying to do your work and stuff like that, and sometimes because when you come across some articles, you kind of know like where it's stemming from, and it's not necessarily more balanced. It's more so I'm all team, and this is why these pundits or this is why these critics are wrong. And it's like, well, did you try to look at the other side? So that's why I always ask that question, just to see where people are at. Okay,
it's a good question.
Right. So let's go ahead and get into this Dallas and Tampa Bay game. So obviously, as we all know, for those who are listening, this is Wednesday. We are recording on Wednesday, but Dallas and Tampa Bay kicks things off on Thursday night. And to preview this thing, absolutely, I can't wait either. To preview this thing, we're going to start off with some broad level analysis, just how you think Dallas matches up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we'll just give you the open floor for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think on paper it's not much of a matchup, side by side. I think that Dallas's strength is obviously going to come in the offense, especially with the receivers that they have, and they've got some very good receivers. The problem with having really good receivers is you got to have a quarterback that has a solid platform to throw to him off of, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense kind of specializes in making sure the quarterbacks are not comfortable. You pair that with the fact that Dak Prescott is coming back, really is going to get his first game action here in this week since he got injured against the New York Giants, and that's never a good thing. Then you pair that also with the fact that this offensive line is having issues with players even that are going to be active, have missed significant amounts of time due to COVID or due to dealing with injuries, and then the possibility, most likely potential, of Zach Martin not being able to clear COVID protocols in time to play this game as well. It spells disaster for a lot of areas of where Dallas is strong. And then you look at where Dallas isn't strong on the defensive side of the ball, and Tampa Bay has weapons to take advantage of all of their defensive flaws on top of all of that. And they have some injuries along the defense, which is already generally considered to be their weakest part of the three phases. They've got injuries to some of their good players that are even there. And a lot would argue that they're potentially their best player this year, Micah Parsons, is a rookie, and he's going to make rookie mistakes. He's going to have to learn on the go, and he's doing it up against the best quarterback to ever play the game, the best cerebral quarterback to ever play the game, and he's going to have to cover Rob Gronkowski, who just he eats veteran linebackers for lunch most days, and he's looking forward to facing a rookie. I can tell you that.
Absolutely.
Man, I wish Eric was on to hear that.
Yeah, I'm about to say, well, Nick right here, because so for the record, we got two Cowboys fans in here, so they may have some questions, or just some opinions. Yes. So with that being said, now when we talk about Tampa Bay by themselves, they are, if I'm not mistaken, they're bringing back all 22 starters from their Super Bowl season, which is rare, I think, nowadays, to say the least. And in your opinion, I would say this part first. I felt like the weakest part of the team, which was kind of wild, was simply the secondary, like, or at least the cornerback position in particular. Not necessarily the whole secondary. I think I like y'all the safety situation, but the cornerbacks was kind of off in my opinion. I will ask you, what was the weaknesses of that 2020 Tampa Bay team, and how do you think they accomplished addressing those in the offseason, whatever those weaknesses were? What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, most people that are close to the team would say the running back group. Most people that are further away from the team would say the secondary, and I think both are correct on those sides of the ball. I think the running back group gets a lot of shade from a lot of people because they did have. I mean, the truth of the matter is they did have one of the lowest rushing per yards output of the NFL. They had one of the lowest yards per carry outputs in the NFL as well. But there are some skewed numbers that, right? Stats don't tell the entire story, and stat scouting is always dangerous. At one point in time, Ronald Jones was a top 5 running back in the National Football League. COVID caught up to him. Some injuries caught up to him towards the end of the season, and that number obviously dipped to where he fell down further in the list. Leonard Fournette was fairly active in spots, but really didn't show up to the playoffs. So that kind of hurt things. LaShawn McCoy, Shady was long gone. LaShawn McCoy was still in the NFL, but Shady had long retired. And just, it just kind of was what it was at that point in time. Ends up with 25 touches for the entire season. And Keyshawn Vaughn was a rookie and looked like a rookie in the opportunities that he got. So running back on the offense really was the weakest spot, but they still had very good production. Again, going back to Rojo, Ronald Jones had 3 straight 100-yard rushing games against defenses that were considered to be at least top 12 against the rush at the time. So he had some potential, had some production. The Buccaneers also a very pass-heavy offense. So while it was the weakness of the group, I think there's some untapped potential there that we may be able to see this year, especially with the Leonard Fournette that's more bought in than he was last year. The team mentality has grown up a lot inside that locker room in the last 12 months, and we should see a more dedicated Leonard Fournette. Not that he wasn't dedicated at times last season, but there was a moment there that kind of sparked a little bit of doubt of whether or not he was going to be able to put his ego in check, but it seems like he has fully, and that's only going to help matters. The secondary is very young, and bottom line is, when you have a secondary full of young guys, that's always going to be an Achilles heel. That's why that pass rush is so important, because you don't want those young guys sitting out there in coverage for as long as they could be if your pass rush doesn't get home. Without that pass rush, I think the secondary does look more vulnerable than maybe they did against a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, where they got a lot of credit and they deserve a lot of credit. But again, the pass rush is where pass coverage starts and ends, and it doesn't really matter who you have out there. If you got Darrelle Revis and Deion Sanders in their prime, it doesn't matter if the quarterback is sitting back there comfortable. Eventually, they're going to find an open target. But the secondary, I would agree, is the weakest part of the defense. What have they done to shore it up? Really, in offense, they added Giovanni Bernard. We'll see how that whole dynamic balances. Yeah, I mean, he's a better pass catching back than either Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette. So I think he's going to have some contributions there, and he can still run the ball if he's asked to. So the defense can't just sit back there and say, okay, Gio's on the field, they're throwing. They do have to play him honest. On the defense, really, they just let the team get more experienced, and they kind of are just trusting Todd Bowles to continue that pass rush, continue getting to the quarterback, continue teaching these young guys. And he's done a great job so far. So it's really just going to be indicative or imperative that these young guys continue to develop the way they have so far.
This is weird to me. And I'm gonna ask you about this, like just in general, because you mentioned obviously Gio just came in from I believe Cincinnati. I think he was with Cincinnati last year still. But he came in, and then you look at all of the receivers, because if you think about it, I never even imagined last year running back would be an issue or a significant issue. I really just thought it was on the defensive side. But you mentioned somebody at the running back position. You had really good receivers. You had a good offensive line. You had damn good tight ends. How weird was it from your perspective, knowing that you followed the Buccaneers, to just see all of these influx of players like coming out the woodworks because they want to play with Tom Brady, and just having that with ease, like having people just come in and sign those 1 to 2 year deals just to go for that championship run. I've never seen. I rarely see things like that
in the NFL.
Yeah, so
NFL.
It was weird to see it happening to the Buccaneers. You know what I mean? But when the smoke started really building around Tom Brady going to Tampa, I'd say probably a little early mid February timeframe. We started doing a lot of homework with a lot of New England media members, especially our Locked On Patriots guys, and kind of started talking about them. Like, what does Tom Brady really mean when he comes to a franchise or when he's part of your franchise? And they kind of gave us some hints and some insight into what the media coverage is going to look like, especially on a national level. You know, we're used to, if you're in a media scrum or even a Zoom conference with a Buccaneers player, coach, a phone conference, whatever, it's pretty much just Tampa media. You know what I mean? So there's really not a whole lot of elbowing and pushing and shoving. But then when Tom Brady arrives, all of a sudden you've got, you know, the NFL Network guys are now involved in the ESPN big talking heads are now all of a sudden they're in the calls, and everybody's kind of sitting back saying, wait, you know, I used to be third in line here. Why am I all of a sudden sixth in line? This is a little bit different. But then they did talk about the players, you know, and they talked about guys who could go get bigger contracts elsewhere. The guys like Julian Edelman's, the Rob Gronkowski, the Danny Amendolas of the world, who maybe they weren't as big a names as guys like Mike Evans and Antonio Brown, but they were guys who could get paid better to go be bigger parts of offenses that just, quite frankly, aren't going to execute at the same level. And that players, usually older, kind of understand the struggle and what it means to be on teams that don't reach their full potential. So when they have the opportunity to reach and exceed that potential, they're willing to perhaps take a pay cut or perhaps sacrifice a few things here or there to stay in that system. That's really what you've seen with the Buccaneers, specifically in Levante David. I mean, Levante, if he would have hit the open market and gone out there and talked to other teams, you know, in a legal tampering type of area or situation, could have made a lot more money than he re-signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for. But Levante is a guy that spent a decade of his career playing on mediocre teams, teams that didn't live up to their potential. So finally being not only in the playoffs, but winning a championship, he knows what it is to struggle, and he wasn't interested in making more money to go struggle again. He wants to succeed as long as he can.
So I don't know what he did. Go ahead, Ryan. You good?
Just had a quick question because I thought it was ironic. You said you covered both Tampa and Washington. So were you covering the playoff game last year? And if you were, like, how was that having to write for both teams in the playoff game? And also, you know, did you think the game was going to be as competitive as it was?
So I started covering Washington in February of this year.
Okay.
So that was something, that was something that kind of it started developing towards the end of the postseason. The talk started happening kind of behind the scenes, and I was talking to our host of the Locked On Washington Football Team podcast at the time, and just kind of getting to know him a little bit. But it wasn't really the week of the Senior Bowl, actually. I was in Alabama, and that's the week that we really solidified everything with the network. I did a couple of guest spots just to see how the chemistry would work. And then after the Senior Bowl, I came on full-time on the show. So I wasn't covering Washington at the time. I did know that I was going to be trying to cover Washington at the time. So definitely paying attention to that organization. I didn't think it was going to be as close as it was, but I did expect it to be closer than a lot of people did, mainly because Devin White wasn't playing in that game. Vita Vea still wasn't playing in that game. And that's a lot of defensive talent that was missing out of that Buccaneers middle of their defense. And Taylor Heineke, you know, he's not a world beater. He's not a mountain mover by any means. But anytime you have a versatile, mobile quarterback and you have a weakened middle of your defense, that's always a problem. And it proved to be a little bit of a problem in that game.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and Nick, I want to get your opinion on this one as well. But one of the biggest strengths, obviously, for the Cowboys, well, in recent years, has notoriously been their offensive line. Obviously, last year, the receiving game, or the receivers in the passing game, over the past couple of years, actually, has been pretty good. They built it up pretty well. And then they nearly had 3 1,000-yard receivers in 2020, and that's with Dak missing damn near the whole season. How do you see Tampa's secondary faring against Dak in the passing game? And then that's the first part. The second part is just your general X factors on the defensive side versus Dallas's offense.
Will you start with me or start with Nick?
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
My bad. I
start?
was wondering. I thought my mic went out. I was like, did it happen again? No, my bad. David, you got the first stab at it.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, again, that wide receiver group, I think that's where, you know, the talent stacks up in Dallas's favor the most in this matchup is that wide receiver group. Again, the question is going to be, can they give Dak enough time to find the receivers? Because you've got a lot of fast linebackers and versatile linebackers. I mean, Jason Pierre-Paul himself, he can drop into coverage, and he doesn't move as fast maybe he did in his New York Giants days, but he can still drop back there, and he's long enough and big enough that he can still make an impact if they start switching to some really quick hitters, stuff like that. The biggest concern with that Dallas passing game from a Buccaneers standpoint is Jamel Dean. He's a very young guy, very fast guy, very quick guy. And if you go back through kind of like the highlight reels, or if you watch some Buccaneers football last year when they were down 13-0 to the Green Bay Packers, he's the defensive back that picked off Aaron Rodgers for that pick six that really started the Buccaneers rolling to come back to dominate that game.
That parlay too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and that's Jamel Dean's game. You know what I mean? He's fast and he's talented and he knows it, and he likes to risk every once in a while. What that does lead to sometimes, and if you go back to the Seattle game in his first game where he got torched by Tyler Lockett, he does bite on double moves sometimes. So if they can get him on some double moves, even Amari Cooper, I mean, he's not the the trailblazer or anything like that, but he's fast enough. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, I mean, any of those guys, they give him to bite on a double move, it could be game over, at least for that play. So that really is kind of the biggest part of the equation there is, can the Dallas Cowboys give Dak enough time to, one, stand there comfortably and find open receivers, and two, let those receivers take advantage a little bit of some of that aggression that those young defensive backs have. It's going to take about 3 seconds. You know what I mean? So if they can give Dak Prescott 3 seconds, then they can possibly make some things happen. And in my mind, that starts with Ezekiel Elliott, one of the best rushing defenses in the National Football League for 2 years running now in Tampa Bay. So it's proven to be very difficult to run against this defense. But if they can get Zeke going just a little bit, they don't have to get a lot of chunk plays with Zeke or anything like that. But if they can get 3-4 yards of carry here or there in the first couple drives to kind of get things rolling, that'll force those linebackers to be a little bit less aggressive in their blitzes and in their rushes, and that'll give Dak a little bit more time to try to take advantage of those young defensive backs.
Nick, what you thinking?
Oh man, it's finna be a great game. I just want to say, this game gives
What's
me.
a great game?
I'm about to tell you right now. This game gives me Falcons vibes. So I feel like the Bucks may get out early. We are. We usually put a full game together. We're gonna give you one first half or second half. I do believe first half we'll struggle. I think we probably put up like 10 points, maybe. We might be down 21-10. Second half, I do believe the Bucks might get a little lax. They'd be like, "Oh, this is cakewalk," and then we'll bring it back to be a game. Fourth quarter will be something special. In my opinion, you know what I'm saying?
Well, Nick, let's kind of narrow it down a bit. What's the what do you think about this offense, the Dallas's offense versus Tampa's defense? Do you have anything that you're looking for in particular, like matchup wise?
I do believe our receivers can expose their DB group, especially if they're up in the second half by a couple scores. I think they'll be like real lackadaisical, and that's in them second. Those double moves will come in. So look for CD to eat over the middle, and look for Gallup to get, you know what I'm saying, probably like a 40-yard touchdown. You know what I'm saying, something over the top, because he does have top end speed. You know what I'm saying. So I would just really look for which half we're going to do good in. If we do good in the first half, I feel sorry for the second half, because it might look ugly. But hopefully we start off slow, and then we'll see what happens.
You want them to start off slow. Why not just change the narrative for 2021 altogether?
Because you know how Nick bad. You know he had first half better. You know how he rolled.
Come on, baby. You know what
you know he had first half better, man.
Bucks 3.5, baby.
He's trying to make reason for that goddamn bet. That's what he's doing.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Okay. So Dave, for the offensive side of Tampa, they have this weird inconsistency, at least in my opinion, occurring throughout the regular season of last year. Some weeks, at least for me, I wondered, how the Bucs offense could look this inept with Brady. Like I see that a lot with the Saints games. Obviously, like that was the biggest outliers. Then we had weeks where we asked, like, where the hell has this offense been? Right. It was a mix. Fair to say, it was just a mix. It wasn't like heavily one side or the other. But which Tampa offense do you think makes their 2021 debut on Thursday?
That's the question. That's a big question. Everybody's got to answer.
I got a good question for David too when you finish.
Okay. Yeah. And it's similar to what you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. There weren't a lot of complete offensive games from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2020. A lot of times it was either a really good first half or a really good second half. Usually it was a better second half. The thing about it is it kind of gets lost in the conversation sometimes because Tom Brady set a couple of franchise records for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is I don't know if that's more sad about the quarterbacks in franchise history in Tampa or just really good on Tom, but he set a lot of franchise records. So people kind of tend to forget that quarterbacks usually struggle a little bit in their first year under Bruce Arians. And Tom mentioned during the offseason that it wasn't really till after that Kansas City Chiefs game towards the bye week that he really started feeling comfortable with what Byron Leftwich and Bruce Arians were asking him to do, started really feeling comfortable with his receivers and everything like that. And why that's an important date is because when you look back at that Chiefs game, the Kansas City Chiefs blew Tampa Bay out of the stadium in that first quarter. But the last three quarters of that game was really dominated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lose the game. So a lot of people forget that for 3 quarters, the Buccaneers really dominated that game against it. Bucs media members were focusing on it, saying, hey, look at that last 3 quarters. Forget the first quarter. Look at the last 3 quarters of football these two teams have played. It was all Tampa Bay. And what you saw in the next 4 quarters was all Tampa Bay. So that's really when things kind of started clicking for Tom Brady in the offense. They started getting a little bit healthier. They were injured a lot. Mike Evans, Scotty Miller, Chris Godwin, OJ Howard lost for the season by then. So there was a lot of injuries, not a lot of buildup. And again, the first year under Bruce Arians is usually a quarterback's worst year. Going back to Carson Palmer, Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, all those guys, their first year is usually the worst year. This is year 2. And they've had training camp, they've had preseason. When they came out and got the most action they did in the preseason, they looked really good. I was going to say Houston Texans, so you got to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But I'm expecting this team to come out, probably have 1 or 2 3-and-outs in the first quarter, but I do expect them to get rolling a little bit faster than they did usually in 2020 and have probably a 3 quarters complete game versus a 4 quarter complete game.
Right, what you got?
Okay. So I'm heavy into fantasy football, right? Mm-hmm. Like we like draft, we do all that. So nice. I got Antonio Brown in the later rounds, right? People were not picking him, right? They weren't picking him. Yeah. But I, for some reason, really feel within my heart that Antonio Brown really going to show his colors and come back to form where he really was. Now, I just want to know how you feel about it, what you're thinking. And I think he's going to be a sneaky pick for me. I just need you to help me validate that.
You're 100% right. What round did you get him in?
I want to say I got him like round 9.
Man, yeah. Anything after round 6, anything round 6 or later, you're going to get tremendous value for Antonio Brown. The Tom Brady and Antonio Brown chemistry was palpable immediately. As soon as AB got into the franchise, you would see that chemistry. Both of them were learning the playbook. Antonio Brown, obviously, half the season behind Tom Brady in learning the playbook. Coming into training camp, coming into the preseason, and now AB feels comfortable with the language. He feels good with the reads, the checks, the playbook. Tom Brady feels more comfortable. And every time you saw Tom Brady and Antonio Brown running routes together, whether it was against the Buccaneers defense, joint practices against the Titans defense, leading up to preseason games, those two are very much in sync. If they both stay healthy, you got yourself a very, very good fantasy wide receiver in Antonio Brown. And there are people in the Bucs media circle who think that he is going to be the best fantasy wide receiver option for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, David, you don't know what you just did, brother. You know what you just did. I might have to throw him in the starting lineup. Man,
I will tell you that pretty much every Buccaneers media person that plays fantasy football drafted Antonio Brown. I'll put it to you.
Go. Hey, Sleezo said don't trip. AB the GOAT, so he trying to tell you don't worry about it anyway.
That's what I'm talking about, Sleezo. Come on, man.
All right, so hey, quick question: do you think if Tom wins another Super Bowl this year that he retires?
No.
I'm about to say I don't think so either, bro.
My opinion on Tom Brady is that he's still a draft pick, and I think Tom Brady is on a mission to punish everybody that didn't draft him. And that includes the New England Patriots, and that includes Bill Belichick. I think, honestly, if Tom could physically, I think he would play until Bill Belichick retired. I think Tom Brady is on a murder mission. He wants everybody's career to end that passed on him in the NFL before his career ends, and he wants them to know that he did it longer and he did it better than all, and that includes Bill.
Oh, he meant it when he said 45, huh? At least 45.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, man. Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking the closer we get him, like, oh, you getting up there. But, hey, look, he's protecting his body. He protecting his body. Yeah. He eating the right things. He got the trainer and the dietitian and everything all in shape. So I'm not knocking it. It's incredible to see. All right, so a couple more things. We can close up with the offensive side with this one, just the X factors. Like I said, we did the defensive side already. What are the X factors when you talk about the offense, the Tampa Bay's offense matching up against Dallas's defense?
I think it's going to be the tight ends. I think it's going to be Rob Gronkowski, OJ Howard's back healthy again. And those linebackers, especially that rookie Micah Parsons, super talented. One of my favorite players in this year's draft. I was actually hoping that Washington would get him so I could cover him because I was very intrigued by what Micah Parsons brings to the field, but he's still a rookie. It's still his first game. And I think that Byron Leftwich and those veteran tight ends are going to target him. Tom Brady's going to target him, and they're going to try to stress him out very early and kind of get him off of his game. We'll see. It's going to be a big calling card for Micah Parsons. If he does well, it's going to do a lot for his stock around the NFL. But I really think that Rob Gronkowski and OJ Howard are two guys that the Bucs are going to look to get going very, very early.
Nick, where you at? What do you got an opinion?
Yeah, man. I think first half they'll, give him a couple touchdowns. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, bro. And then I think they'll make the right adjustments. I think this defense gives me a lot of Rod Marinelli vibes, where they'll give up a lot of yards, but they'll lock down in the red zone. So I would look out for that, especially in the second half. He might give up like 2 field goals. That's about it. And then, come back and win. But we'll see what happens. But I do believe this defense will give that type of vibe. So I'm just seeing how it'll work on paper. I'm really curious to see how our corners look. Well, the QB, whoever our corner 2 is, whoever's starting, see what he'll do. It's gonna be weird, but should be interesting. I like everything but our QB2. I mean, CB2.
CB2, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, everybody else looking all right. Safeties be deep, so we all right, man.
Okay. All right. So close out the matchup. Is there any key injuries that we need to focus on with this game? Obviously, I did see something though, just to help out on the Dallas side. I did see to check in, everybody except for Zach Martin was essentially good to go. What about Tampa's side?
Yeah, everybody's good except for Jordan Whitehead. Their strong safety. He's been dealing with an injury all training camp, all preseason. Bruce actually ruled him out on Tuesday before he even had to. But the official injury report came out today. The final injury report, he's out. Mike Edwards is going to be starting his place. Mike Edwards, more of a free safety type than a strong safety type. They've also got Ross Cockrell, who played a lot of safety during the preseason to fill in for some of those injuries. He, too, more of a cover guy than a run guy. So, again, going back to that Ezekiel Elliott impact, if he can get going a little bit earlier, they're a little bit less stout in the back end of their run defense because of the absence of Jordan Whitehead. He's much more of a thumper, better tackler than those guys are known for. They're still talented. They're still good. Not a huge drop-off, but that is where a little bit of drop-off is going. So, again, if Zeke can get to the second or third levels, there is a capability of him finding some weak spots there.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and close it out with a side. So when I did this, well, I guess I'll just update it. Let me take a look right quick. I believe they are still 8. Oh, they're 8.5. Wow. It keeps going up. It keeps going up. Okay. Dallas are 8-point favorites. Which line did I just look at?
I was gonna say Tampa by 10 anyway, bro. I ain't gonna.
Yeah, you was going. Yeah, for sure.
There's not much I disagree with David tonight, bro. Like I'm just
8.5. I don't know. The action app is tripping. Anyway,
it's not looking good for you boys, Nick.
Tampa Bay. I'm gonna just say 8. Tampa Bay is 8-point favorites right now. On some of my favorite bookie sites, I'll just leave it at that. They are 8-point favorites. Dave, which side are you on tomorrow night?
Yeah. So before I say this, I got to premise this with some things. Week 1 Dallas is going to be a lot different than Week 18 Dallas. Like there's going to be
David.
There's going to be some rust. There's going to be some rust in this. They're on this team. They're dealing with some injuries still, even though Dak Prescott is back. There's going to be some rust in Dak. And again, they're facing a team who the pass rush is the strength of this team going up against a quarterback that, again, is just coming back, hasn't had a lot of reps behind this offensive line, and the offensive line is banged up. So I just want everybody to understand the Dallas Cowboys in Week 1 are going to be a lot different than the Dallas Cowboys in Week 18 or Week 17 even. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning 31-10.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, listen, bro. That's why I'm feeling too, bro. I'm telling you, dog. I don't think things are gonna go well for Dallas tomorrow night, bro. I'm just telling you.
I just gotta say, 0-1 does not kill anybody's Super Bowl chances.
No.
Or you know what I mean? And if this team plays in the playoffs,
over here trying to sugarcoat it for anybody. Don't worry about Nick. Yeah, Nick.
It's really not sugarcoating. That is the truth. Here's what I'll tell you though. We do a crossover episode every week on the show, right? So I just actually talked to Marcus Mosher, the host of the Locked On Cowboys podcast on the network today, and we talked about this. Listen, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost twice to the New Orleans Saints. Both times were ugly losses. The first one looks closer on the scoreboard, but believe me, it was an ugly loss. The second time, obviously, was an uglier loss. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. They almost lost to the Green Bay Packers. I mean, really, it was just first quarter, but they started getting blown out by the Green Bay Packers. Listen, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in the same situation as far as inconsistency and having to shake off a lot of rust last season. Started off their year 0-1. A lot of people started questioning Tom Brady, if it was going to work with Bruce Arians, et cetera, et cetera. Ended up winning the Super Bowl. So it's not so much sugarcoating. It's understanding that the reason the score prediction is the way that it is because of the perceived potential of rust, inconsistencies in performance due to that rust, and then the injuries piled up on top of it, going up against a squad that is healthy, consistent, and comfortable.
Absolutely. Look, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? we just had to kind of we don't like to be nice when it comes to breaking news about our teams. You know, Nick knows that the Cowboys aren't good. You know, Ryan knows that the Titans won't win Super Bowls. Like, we know these things about our teams. So we have to kind of break these things. Like Washington, I mean, I've been watching fan all my life. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what winning is. So, you know, we do these things. I
was about to say, man, what's your truth?
We do these things. You know what I'm saying? That's something I'm used to out here. But that's all that is, man. So, David, I appreciate you for joining us. And before we get out of here, it's Plug Talk. Go ahead, let everybody know where they can find you, where they can read you, where they can hear you, all that stuff, man. You've been great, man. So, go ahead, let the people know what's going on.
No, I appreciate you guys. It's been a blast. On Twitter at dharrison82. And then, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Locked On Bucs podcast, 4 days a week. I do get a day off every week there. And then writing over at bucksnation.com, part of SB Nation. And then for Washington Football Team, Washington Football at SI.com. And then the Locked On Washington Football Team podcast 5 days a week.
Absolutely. Where y'all have it, make sure y'all go follow everywhere that he just put in. Bro. Yeah, he really was, man.
One last thing before we get out of here. Just to let y'all know now. Last 2 minutes, it will be a bad beat. So we'll be covering at 8. Just let y'all know right now.
You're not gonna cover, bro.
Market bad beat.
Hey, David, please enjoy your night. Please enjoy your night.
Appreciate you. It's been fun.
I don't know what he's talking about, but yeah.
Block of the week. Bucks first half. Block of the week. 3.5.
All right.
Whatever.
Bucks first half, baby.
You know, we're keeping spreadsheets of this stuff, so you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Okay. All right. So yeah, that was David Harrison, man. Appreciate you, boss, man. Take care, and I will reach out to you later. All right. So let's go ahead and get into these picks to close things out, right? Well, first and foremost, let me let everybody know. Now, while Nick and I treat this as a sport, gambling, we want all you all to know that we are just having fun on this podcast. We are not experts, but we do this shit. We do it. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and start off the first week of Beat the Odds. I don't know what it's called. Beat the Odds segment. That's what we're gonna call it. The Beat the Odds segment to close out the show for tonight. Ryan, obviously you're not the biggest gambler, but you can participate just for the hell of it. And we'll be keeping track of the records throughout the entire season and tally everything up after the Super Bowl. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and transition. Where is the spreadsheet so everybody can see it on my side? Y'all aren't going to see it, but I just have it locked. I just have it up here. Unless y'all look at the stream right quick, and you'll be able to see the spreadsheet. Let me zoom in a little bit, I think. Yeah. There we go. Boom, that's perfect. All right. So, Sleezo, the time is now. Sleezo said he had a 10-team parlay for 2 bands. He got a 10-team parlay going for 2 bands, bro. So,
wow.
I wish you luck. I'm not even going to say anything else outside of that, because 10 teams, it is a lot.
That's tough, Sleezo.
It is a lot. So yeah, 10-team parlay.
Man, I know that's tough. So
right now, we have the Dallas and Tampa Bay game up. I had, based on what you were saying, Nick, because you was rapping a lot about this game, I ended up putting San Francisco, Detroit up there because I assumed that was gonna be your game. And then I have closing out with the Chicago versus Los Angeles Rams game. So we have 3 games up on the board. We'll be picking these 3 games, and that'll be it for this week. We don't have to use the San Francisco Detroit game. I can still switch it. It's no problem. But let me know what you want to do with that second game.
All right. Well, if we going Bucks boys, I'm going Bucks first half, 3.5.
Hold on.
That's automatic.
Hold on.
Yeah, write that down, Mo.
Bucks first half, 3.5.
So you just doing first half. We not going for the whole
Full
spread of the
game?
game. You just
No. I know my boys. First half.
I want Irv to
but you already picked them to
Here
win.
we go.
You've already picked them to win. You already
Pick
picked
two to win.
the boys.
I picked the boys to do a backdoor cover, but I wouldn't put
Nick,
money
but
on it.
when David was on the show, you picked the boys to win. You said my
No,
boys
he
will
didn't.
pull out the end.
No, that's not what he was
bro.
saying. See now as we're going, you kind of see the inexperience here, and it's perfectly fine. Ryan, what he was saying, the backdoor cover essentially means
to cover. Okay, my fault. I didn't hear that
Yeah.
part. I thought he was saying they was gonna win. But I understand the logic. I got y'all.
Okay.
I got you.
Yeah, he's saying he ain't
Give my
that old.
boys 8.
He old, but he
He
ain't
take it,
that
baby.
old. All right.
But do y'all think they're gonna win them just for the just
Do I think win the game?
I
the
can't
game.
I can't say for certain that they're gonna win. I think they can
See,
win,
Ryan?
but I think it's like a 20% chance.
It's only
Nick?
one record. It's only one record I care about. It's ATS.
Come
It's
on,
called-
Nick. These
called
are your
against the
boys,
spread.
bro. These are
1-0
your boys.
1-0
Do
versus
you think
spread.
they're gonna win?
No, and I already told you I don't want us to win week 1, bro.
And
What kind of
for-
what is that? What
as
is
we
that,
lock
bro?
it
I don't
in-
want us to win week 1.
The past three
that.
times we went to the playoffs, we have been on 1 week 1. I already told you and Jimmy this, bro. We finna take an L,
So
Rest of the season?
you basing your season off superstition.
bro. I'm basing it off the facts and patterns.
Okay, bro. Superstition. Got you. Go ahead.
It's facts. It's not superstition, bro. We go on 1 automatic playoffs.
It is, bro. That's come on, bro.
That
That's
is
BS. Go
the
ahead.
mere definition of a superstition, bro.
Like, what are we talking about, bro?
last three times, baby. 14, 17.
All right, next game.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
we
Bucks.
not. First off, we
Not
have not even picked yet. We have not picked yet.
Okay, my fault.
What
Nick.
are
Go
we
ahead,
doing?
bro.
What are we doing here? We're gonna put Rick as NA
He said
for week 1. We're gonna put Rick as NA. We're gonna go ahead and take care of that right quick. You know what I'm saying? All right, boom. All right. So now we got. I'll go first because I don't know what the hell y'all got going on. I'm taking Dallas.
That's Nick. I was waiting on Nick to pick.
Plus the 8 for week 1. Dallas, Tampa Bay. I think Dallas is going to cover this one. I don't. So here's the deal with this one. I monitored the line versus anything else. I thought that Tampa had it when it was at 6.5, even when it got to 7. But I never had that opportunity to close the gap, and I didn't want to buy any points. I didn't want to buy any points this game. So I just waited it out thinking that there was going to be some late money to push on Dallas, or excuse me, Dallas to kind of lower to put it back down to 6.5, but it never happened. So it kept shooting up. It shot up to 8, and I felt like I'm in a good spot early on to take plus 8 with Dallas, knowing that they have some opportunities to exploit that secondary, knowing that Dak is back and they have a well-rounded offense just in general. I'm going to go ahead and rely on this offense week 1, thinking that they can maintain at least a 1-possession game, and that's where I'm going. So I went Dallas plus 8 for mine. Nick, I'm going to go ahead to you. What's your official pick for this game? It doesn't have to be the actual, you know what? I think we should just simplify it, bro. We don't have to do like
Thank you,
Buck, my John is Bucks first half, bro. It's no other. That's it. Bucks first half.
What is the line,
3,
bro?
I got it at 3.
The line is 8. Isn't the line is 8? Is that what
Nah,
you just said?
the half John is 3.5.
All right, boom. Minus 3.5,
Man,
1 half.
We don't be making exceptions for Nick. Come on, bro.
Nah, I mean,
Oh, y'all know.
I can
I know
enter
how
it in the
I bet, bro.
spreadsheet, so it's cool. All right, so Sleezo, I would have to. I can try. What I think I can do for now, because the only reason why I can't put you in there is because I would have to make a whole nother column and edit. Like as you can see, this thing is kind of. I took like an hour to do this, so I would have to recreate a whole new column for you, which is fine. It just takes some time. But right now for week 1, we're gonna keep your record in the chat. So you let us know where you at with Dallas. You got Dallas minus 8. I mean Dallas plus 8 or Tampa minus 8, and where you at with the Philly game? What's your spread looking like? Rye, you up next, boss. Where you at? What you got?
Yeah, I got Bucks minus 8, bro.
Tampa Bay. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Rookie, bro.
All right.
Rookie gambling.
Say less.
All
Okay.
right. So next up, did you want to keep that San Francisco game up there for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the line
San
for that?
Francisco versus 7
San Francisco is 7.5 point favorites right now.
versus Khalif Raymond
Versus-
and
Versus
Detroit Lions.
the Detroit Lions. They're 7.5 point favorites.
Why you
wanna
keep
talk
calling
about-
my boy out like that, bro?
I'm gonna go.
Do you want to talk about 31-10? This game right here.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm going. I'm going San Francisco minus 7.5 on this one. I think that this San Francisco team, last year was kind of riddled with injuries, and that line kind of reflects it. Because if they was a home game, you're talking like 13, 14 point favorites against Detroit. So I'm going San Francisco minus 7.5. For the reasons that I just stated. I don't think it's a close matchup right now. And truth be told, now that I think about it, Nick, I'm about to play this as soon as we get off. Like before the line goes up any higher, I'm going to go ahead and play that 7.5 for week 1, San Francisco and Detroit. Fellas, I'm assuming that all of y'all on 7.5.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I would take it at 9.
Okay. Oh bullshit.
No cap.
I might take it at 10. I might take a reverse teaser.
Hey, we ain't doing
I'm
money
sorry,
lines
bro.
over here, Schleezo. Hell nah. You betting on the point spread. We ain't doing
come
no
on,
money
rookie.
lines over here, Schleezo. That's not how it works out
rookie?
here. That's not how it works.
Definitely not.
All right. So we on our last game. We got the primetime game. For those who don't know, we will always end it with a primetime game. It's whatever. That's the neutral game. Me and Nick brings 2 games to the table. I did want to bring the Dallas game to the table, so it just works out that it's the opener. So we have Chicago visiting the Los Angeles Rams Sunday Night Football. Los Angeles Rams are 7.5 point favorites. Fellas, where are we going with this one? I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know where I want to go right now. So I'm handing it to Nick.
So what's the line
Go
again?
ahead.
Los
7.
Angeles Rams are 7.5 point favorites.
Okay. Go ahead, Nick.
I've seen Andy Dalton up close and personal recently. Doesn't look good. I'm taking the Rams. I would take it at 10. I think they'll win by 10 points. So I'm gonna take the Rams. I take that 7.
Okay. 7.5. Let me see. LA. AR. Oh shit. Here we go.
Or I'll take the first half line. What's the first half line?
There you
Come on,
go.
Nick, bro. Come
Shut
on,
up, bro.
bro.
Shut up.
Go
I'll take the
ahead
first
with
half.
that.
It should be like 4 or something. First half of 4.
Yeah, 7.5. So you
Nick's
take the first
sweet.
half 4 jump.
Yeah, I'll take first half 4.
All right.
3-0 week 1.
Minus
Count it
4
up right now.
first half.
That's a cop out, bro.
All right. Rod, where you at?
Taking the -7 Rams.
-7. It's 7.5. So you taking the -7.5.
Taking it. Taking it.
All right. LA Rams -7.5. Boom.
I just don't see how they gonna get open. Like you got, you know what I'm saying? Like the pass rush. I mean, I know they got Allen Robinson. I just don't like Andy Dalton, bro. I just do not think.
Well, what makes Andy Dalton terrible versus
To be honest, I don't know when Andy Dalton got so bad, bro. I don't like. I used to think Andy Dalton was pretty decent, bro. Like especially early on in Cincinnati, they was winning playoffs. I mean, not winning playoffs, but going to playoff appearances, bro. But I don't know where the drop off was. He thinks he's nice. I think
He do think he's nice, bro.
kind of
He
made
do
me
think he's
dislike
nice.
him. I think that's what happened. So.
My time is now. Boy, you finna get benched, bro.
Like, stop, son. Like, what do you think you are? What?
I do
people,
think his leash is pretty high though. I mean, his leash is pretty short for real in Chicago.
Yeah.
What I
For
think is
sure.
going on
Not how
right
they been
now
screaming for Fields.
is that I think the narrative behind Andy Dalton is warranted. I'm not going to sit here and defend him at all. But what I will say with these guys is I'm not entirely. It's different, man, because their secondary changed up too. Like, they got rid of Fuller. I just feel like right now, because 85% of the bets right now are on the Los Angeles Rams. 85%. That is a high number. And anytime you have 85% of the bets on one side, it's something that we're missing with the Chicago Bears. That's just what bothers me with this. And I'm not entirely too sure that while I do believe in the Los Angeles Rams, the Bears are still good up front. If they can dominate the line of scrimmage, they're going to be in the game. That's kind of where I'm stuck at it. And I understand Los Angeles got Deshaun Jackson, the playmaker. Matthew Stafford, obviously, that's my guy. Y'all know how I feel about Matt Stafford and Los Angeles Rams this year. Fellas,
watch what this shit look like.
I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna go Chicago, man. I'm gonna go Chicago plus 7.5. And for those who are listening, it'll take me a day or two to figure out if I really want to put this money down on this team. But my head is where it's at right now, and I'm not all in on a team with 85% of the bets on them. I'm not all in. I think it's something that we're missing. So I'm gonna go Chicago.
I'm all gonna be cussing Andy Dalton out, man.
He don't have the same jersey on as you. Stop throwing him the ball.
That's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at.
Wait till next week, bro. Maul was like, "This nigga Andy Dalton, bro."
Andy Dalton threw 7 picks and he didn't get benched, bro.
Caesar, let me see where you at. Jalen plus 2 picks, Rams by 13. Okay, he got smacked
to the crib.
He said Andy Dalton got smacked by Fletcher Cox and messed up his equilibrium.
There it goes.
I want to say,
oh man,
Bears O-line isn't that good, is it?
Somebody else killed Andy Dalton last season. Who was it?
The Bears kind of, I mean, they essentially, they thought they upgraded in the offseason, but things like since the preseason has started, it wasn't all positive reviews on that side or that unit. So I'm not entirely too sure what the consensus thought is about that offensive line. But yes, they presumably upgraded, but when the preseason started, they started having second thoughts. So that's kind of where, that's the last time I looked into it.
So 99, 3 sacks.
So we got Chicago plus 7.5, Los Angeles Rams -4 first half, and then Los Angeles Rams full game -7.5. Okay, and then we got NA for Rick. Clearly he was not a participant in this. He said to hell with this show. And it's perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? To hell with him.
I'm about to say, and that counts against his record too. So if you mess around, start winning.
0-3.
This week count. Stand.
0-3.
You behind, boy.
But all right, that's going to do it for us, man. We up out of here. For me, tomorrow, we will be back Washington football side of things, previewing the Washington football team and the Los Angeles Chargers. They kick things off 1 p.m. on Sunday. If you're a Washington football fan, I'm back at it tomorrow. If you're listening to this on YouTube or whatever, tune into the live stream on Twitch. If you're listening to the podcast, live stream on Twitch. Otherwise, you'll get it on Friday, if not Thursday night. Actually, no, not Thursday night because the football game is on. And I need to watch my bet unfold. I need that my undivided attention.
Before you go, who do you have in the Washington football team and Chargers game? While we're just here talking, you know what I'm saying? Just
Lord,
let the people know.
What's the line on that joint?
It's a toss up.
3.
It's literally a pick. Nah, it's a pick 'em.
Oh, it's a pick 'em.
Yeah, because it was at one point. The Chargers was 1-point favorites on the road. It just switched up to now Washington's half-point favorites. So it's been swaying. It's been swaying back and forth all off season up until this point. I am struggling with this one, man, for obvious reasons. Like I just mentioned, it is a pick 'em, but also I can see this game going 7. I actually said this earlier today. I can see this game going 17-14, or I can see it going 31-26, 31-27, something like that. No in between, because I think
y'all can score that much.
I think we can score that. I think we can score that much against. I think we score that much against the Chargers. But I think the reason why that'll happen is that like you missed the important part. Like you didn't even ask. Like, do you think the Chargers can score that much? I think that there's going to be some things that's going on with this game that the Chargers aren't going to be able to account for. And that's the skill positions and also our versatility with the running backs and what we can do on that side of the ball. But then at the same time, the Chargers offense is just as good with Herbert at quarterback, but then you got some dogs that he's throwing to. So like the versatility part is what we're not accounting for, but also we struggle against better quarterbacks. Like we struggled against better quarterbacks. So that's why I'm like, it'll either be a low scoring game or high scoring game. It won't be like the average 21-24 or 20-14 thing. It's going to be one or the other. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And I'm kind of torn trying to figure out, can Washington really score as much? Like, can they keep up with the Chargers? That's kind of where my head is. Can they keep up with the Chargers? So I'll put it this way. If it's on the low scoring end, Washington is going to be the victor. High scoring end, Chargers got it. Chargers got it. I don't have a pick for this one at all. I don't have a pick one.
That's fair.
It's been bothering right now. Today is Thursday Wednesday as we're recording this. I need more time because I can see this thing going out playing out a few ways.
Okay, and Ryan, I know you got y'all got a game on Sunday, 1:00 as usual.
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray and the boys coming in town.
Yeah.
They're gonna walk away with a dub, or what's going on?
Stop it, baby. Come on, boy.
My bad.
Do I need to expound more on that? Come on, stop it.
You know what? I need some betting insight. So let me know what's gonna happen on Sunday.
What's the line for that game?
3.
Are we +3? Are we -3?
Y'all 2.5.
-3.
Oh, the line went down. If it was 3, they 2.5 right now.
So they got them winning the game.
No, they got y'all winning, but technically you get 3 for being at home, so it's a pick 'em.
Oh, so okay, so it's a pick 'em. I didn't know that. Okay, I'm learning more as I go. Okay, I feel that it's a pick 'em if it's under 3.
No, if the home team has 3, they give the home team 3 points.
Regardless,
okay.
home.
Yeah,
I got you. Oh, but no, I definitely think the thing I'm most looking forward to seeing. Well, I mean, I automatically already think it would be better defensively because all the changes we made on the defensive side of the ball. Y'all heard me talk a bunch about it. That's why I'm not going to talk a hole in your head about that. But I'm looking forward to seeing the defense. I think will be much more improved. Only thing I'm worried about is Kyler Murray's legs, makes plays on the run. I think that would be something that'll be difficult for us. But at the same time, I still think we pull that out for sure. Close game.
Okay. All right. So there we go. There we got it. Nick, do you got an opinion on that Titans game? Do you think Titans win?
I'm not touching it. Titans and me have a terrible history.
Yes, they do. And I would be satisfied if you just would never bet on the Titans all season. Like, is that cool?
Hey, I will say this one thing. To back Nick's point up, while I understand where Ryan's
Nick texted me
from.
during the season like I run the squad. Like he texted me, "What's wrong with your boys, bro?
No.
Why they letting these niggas come back?"
It'd be 3rd and 33. That's why I text you. Why your boys giving that up?
Hey, that won't happen this year. I can guarantee you that.
I've asked Ryan a couple times, like, how do you feel about this game? And he just says, "Oh, we gonna win." And
that's all he said, bro.
And
I every week, 17 weeks.
That's my thing. Like I realized after 2 attempts of going to him about some insight that I just need to stop because every single time that I did it twice.
Listen to me. Yeah. I will give you an honest opinion about both sides of the ball, where we are defensively, who was getting some trash on either side of the ball. But if you ask me, do I think we're gonna lose? No. I mean, you can take my analysis. You can take my analysis, and I'm gonna give it to you what it is. I tell Nick all the time, Cuz can't cover. I tell you who's doing nothing, who's doing terrible, who's doing good. You can use that analysis to make your own pick, but don't ask me how we gonna lose. Because I'm not gonna say no.
Well, I would never ask that. Like if y'all gonna win or lose, but
that's what Nick does. Nick and Jimmy, what y'all gonna do? What y'all gonna do? Win? Yeah. Like what I'm supposed to say something different.
You're not. All right. There we go. There we go, man. First pre. What is this? It's not even a pregame.
Week 1, baby.
Week 1. We're just gonna leave it at that. Week 1 is in the books. For the All 32 Side of Chopper Die podcast. We'll be back next Wednesday. As far as this podcast and myself, we'll be back tomorrow previewing the Los Angeles Chargers Washington football game. Appreciate y'all for watching. All that good stuff. Nick, you are ugly.
Ugly, bro.
Haters, boy.
Whole hard in the trenches. Ask a nigga what he benching. Triple digits, nigga. Don't forget to mention. Whole hard in